Shalom, welcome to the Jewish Task Force, J.T.F. I'm Chaim Ben Pesach. We have another show with the great David Ben Moshe. On this program, we're going to be telling you about Donald Trump's plan for Gaza. Donald Trump says we have to clean out Gaza. We have to clean the Arabs out of Gaza and move them somewhere else. Can you believe this? That this is what Donald Trump is proposing? An excellent idea, a Kahanist idea. But the leaders of Israel, of course, instead of jumping at the opportunity, are doing everything they can to ignore it, and they don't want to do it. It's unbelievable what traitors we have as leaders for Israel and what morons the Jews are for continuing to support Netanyahu and say he's a right-winger. He's very right-wing. Imbeciles. What an imbecilic people the Jews are, tragically. I mean, I love the Jewish people. I'm loyal to the Jewish people, but what a dumb people we have. Anyway, we want to make them smarter with J.T.F. Before we get to this, though, this program is dedicated to a refuah shlema, complete recovery, for Shlomo ben Sarah, Ruth bat Sarah, Dorit bat Sarah, and Ruven ben Shoshana, and to Ilui Neshamot, elevating the souls, for Sharon Mitman, Malka bat Meir, Allegra bat Shlomo, Daniel Neinkin, Victor Chazdai, Pesach Seb Ben Dov, Lunita Adler, Shifra Hoffman, Ruven Hoffman, Barry Hoffman, Harab Mir Kahana, Harab Benjamin Kahana, Tzipora Fegi Bat Liba, Yosef Ben Meir, Robert Mittman, Dennis Shore, Helen Friedman, Charles Zolat, and Yair Levine. Now, Jews are a brilliant people when it comes to science and literature and art and culture and technology and inventions and philosophy. Brilliant people. No one comes close to the Jews when it comes to that. I'm just nation of geniuses when it comes to those things. How is it that a people that is so brilliant in all of these areas is so unbelievably stupid when it comes to its own survival? How is that possible? This was a question posed by Morenu Verabbeinu Harav Meir David Kahana Zecher Tzadik V'Kadosh Livracha Hashem Yekom Damo, our beloved, blessed Rabbi Meir Kahana, our teacher, our rabbi, Meir Kahana, of blessed memory. May God avenge his blood. He always asked this question. Donald Trump, who's not Jewish, and who doesn't particularly like Jews, okay, comments he makes about Jews over the years are not particularly favorable. Donald Trump doesn't like anybody except himself. But anyway, that's Donald Trump. But anyway, Donald Trump, who's not Jewish, who couldn't care less about Israel, who just wants to make deals and make himself look good, that's Donald Trump. Donald Trump is proposing an excellent, outstanding proposal to move all the Arabs out of Gaza, because Donald Trump is not insane. Jews are insane. Jews need a national couch, Rabbi Kahana said. They're insane. Rabbi Kahana understood this. Donald Trump is sane. He's looking at the situation in Gaza and he says, what the hell is this? This is obscene. This is ridiculous. Even Marco Rubio is the new Secretary of State, and Marco Rubio is an establishment guy, okay? We opposed Marco Rubio when he ran for president. We supported Ted Cruz against him. And Ted Cruz is the one guy that was in that race in 2016 that genuinely, really supported Israel and really does support Israel. Ted Cruz is a real friend of Israel. But anyway, Marco Rubio, even Marco Rubio says, how can you expect the Jews to live next to these savages in Gaza? That's what Marco Rubio said. And this is an establishment guy saying this. How could you live next to these savages in Gaza? And Donald Trump basically is asking the same question, saying, let's move them to Egypt. He called the dictator of Egypt, not Hosni Mubarak, Assisi, the new dictator of Egypt. They're all alike. But the new dictator of Egypt, Assisi, and urged him to take in the Arabs in Gaza. And then he called the king of Jordan, that piece of subhuman filth, Abdallah, and asked him to take in the Arabs from Gaza. And then he said, well, you know what? Albania is a good idea. Let's send them to Albania. Let me tell you something, okay? We can get the Arabs out. If we wanted to, we always were able to. The Arabs themselves are desperate to leave. There are 30,000 Arabs from Gaza in Greece. How do they get to Greece? Greece doesn't want them. Nobody wants them. Greece certainly doesn't want them. 30,000 of them got to Greece and are living in Greece now. How'd that happen? They're not allowed to leave. Hamas will kill them. The Hamas terrorists will kill them if they try to leave. They're not allowed to leave. They have no means of getting out of there. They, by themselves, built boats to sail across the Mediterranean Sea, which can be very dangerous, from Gaza to Greece, and got into Greece. 30,000 of them did this, men, women, and children. That's how desperate they are to get out. There are 500,000 Arabs from the land of Israel in Chile. Chile, just one country in Latin America. The football team, the Arab football team in Chile is called Palestine. I mean, which of course is fairy tale. There never was a Palestine, there never was a Palestinian people, all a fairy tale. But if they want to create a Palestinian state in Chile, I couldn't care less. I don't want them in Israel. We always could have gotten them out. And wasn't Rabbi Kahana right? Now even Donald Trump is saying, hey, listen, this is crazy. Get them out. But Netanyahu has ignored what Donald Trump said because he doesn't want that, Netanyahu. And the establishment in Israel, the traitor establishment in Israel, they don't want the Arabs out. They don't want it. They don't. No, that's dangerous. We could get them out. Maybe the European Union and the UN will object. The European Union and UN want to destroy Israel. But Netanyahu is worried that if they do this, then they won't let him travel to London and Paris to go shopping in London and Paris and Berlin and all the other places he and the other Israeli traders like to go to, which is disgraceful that Jews go to these places. But anyway, they're afraid he'll be arrested for war crimes. But you have here the President of the United States saying this should happen now. And
it's a war crime when Jews defend themselves. Any other country taking the same exact action, which would have been expected, nobody would claim you're committing war crimes. It's only when Jews defend themselves.
And it's even worse than that, because even when Jews don't defend themselves, they're accused of war crimes. Even when Israel's not defending herself. Israel sent 100,000 tons of assistance to Gaza. That's enough assistance, enough food and medicine and supplies and all types of goodies that they gave the Arab Nazis there. That's enough for 10 times the population of Gaza. And they're accused of starving Gaza and committing genocide and committing a Holocaust there. Whereas the Arab Nazis, who openly say they want a Holocaust, are portrayed as the victims here. When are we going to wake up and understand reality? Only the Kahanists told. For many years, the Kahanists, Rabbi Kahana and the Kahanists being his supporters, were the only ones who told the truth to the Jewish people. Now you also have Moshe Feiglin of the Zehut Party. He's not a Kahanist, but he also advocates getting the Arabs out. If he was prime minister now, it would happen. It would happen. And he doesn't want to just get them out of Gaza. He wants to get them out of the entire land of Israel, Judea and Samaria, the whole land of Israel. The Hilltop Youth, the heroic Hilltop Youth, that J.T.F. is the only organization, the only Jewish organization outside of Israel that's supporting them. The only one. The heroic Hilltop Youth are because of their beautiful hilltop communities in Judea and Samaria, tens of thousands of Arabs are leaving Judea and Samaria because of that, because they're saying they're taking all the land, all the prized land, and all the areas where we want to raise crops and where we want our cattle and and our
And plan our terrorist activities.
yeah, to plan our terrorist activity. But the point is they see this Jewish determination to stay there, and that the Jews are taking over these strategic hilltops, and many of them are saying, you know what, goodbye, we're leaving, we give up. Many Arabs are doing that. And the Arabs themselves are saying it's because of the hilltop youth that tens of thousands of Arabs have left Judea and Samaria since the October 7th massacre. The hilltop youth, a few thousand Jewish heroes doing what must be done. Look what Jews can do when they decide to be God-fearing Jews. Look what Jews can do, and look what Jews can be. And so we're in this incredible situation where a Gentile president of a Gentile country, a president that doesn't particularly care for Jews, and whose so-called peace plan of the century, deal of the century that he proposed before he was voted out of office. By the way, after he proposed that, that's when God brought the coronavirus to America with a vengeance and got him out of office. But because God punishes leaders that do things against Israel. But you have here a president who couldn't care less about Israel, but who just has simple common sense. Trump does have simple common sense. He does that. He has. And again, he's not insane. Netanyahu is insane. He's insane. For him not to jump on this proposal right away and say, oh, you're right, Mr. President, let's do it. If he did that, it would happen. With the support of the President of the United States, it would happen now. America would help Israel with this now. What an opportunity we're losing here. And Netanyahu, oh no, what plan? I don't know what you're talking about. They're all running away from it. What an opportunity. We had so many opportunities in Jewish history that we missed. The Jews never miss an opportunity to miss an opportunity. We missed out so many times. After the 1967 Six-Day War, we could have gotten all the Arabs out of Israel. They were so terrified. We just went, boo! They all would have run. They were terrified of the Jews after the 1967 Six-Day War. All of them would have left. But instead, when they did, in fact, in Hebron, you know what happened in Hebron, the city of our forefathers, where Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and matriarchs are all buried there in the Me'arat HaMachpelah, the cave of the patriarchs. Hebron is the second holiest city in the world after Yerushalayim, after Jerusalem. The Arabs in Hebron picked up and started running to the border. Tens of thousands were fleeing after the 1967 war when Israel liberated Hebron. They all started fleeing, and they wanted to flee to the Jordanian border to get out of Israel as fast as possible. They were terrified because they thought the Jews are normal. They thought the Jews are going to do to them what they did to the Jews. In 1929, there were Jews living in Hebron. And these were not European colonialists. These were Sephardic Jews who spoke Arabic, who came from Arab countries and spoke Arabic. The Arabs slaughtered 69 of them. The Arabs put Jewish babies in ovens in this attack. This is 1929. Okay, before there was even a Jewish state. They put Jewish babies in ovens. They raped Jewish women. They cut people's heads off. Sound familiar? All from the Quran, all from the Islamic religion. 69 Jews were massacred, 1929. This is 18 years before there was even a Jewish state. And this is many years before, almost 40 years before we had the occupied territories. There are no occupied territories. Judea, Samaria, and Gaza, and the Golan are all part of Israel. Sinai is also part of Israel. Anyway, they murdered the Jews in 1929, and so they figured the Jews are going to get revenge because the Jews, listen, because that's how they are. They get revenge when somebody touches someone from their tribe. They slaughter each other when that happens. They thought the Jews are normal, and which would be the normal thing to do to get revenge on those beasts after what they did, those Nazi beasts. But the Jews, you know what the Jews did when they were fleeing toward the border, tens of thousands? The Israeli army stopped them at the border. And Moshe Dayan, who was the defense minister, that traitor, that hideous animal, Moshe Dayan stopped them at the border. He was the one-eyed traitor, one-eyed bandit. He stopped them at the border and ordered them to go back to their homes and said, no, we're going to be very nice to you. You can stay here and have lots of babies and take over. It's fine. We don't plan on staying in Judea and Samaria anyway. We're going to retreat and give all the land away anyway.
Yeah, stay here and murder innocent Israelis.
No. And that's what Israel did. Israel, they wanted on their own to flee in 1967, and the Israeli army stopped them and sent them back to their homes, to their so-called homes. They don't really have a right to be there at all. They're all trespassing. But this is how insane the Jews are. Israel is not a country, it's a mental asylum. And anybody who looks, Jew or Gentile, who looks at Israel today and does not realize what a miracle this is, that Israel has survived, outnumbered 100-1 with the whole world against them, and all their leaders are insane, and the Jewish people themselves are insane, and they survive? These are suicidal people. I forgot the name of that creature. There's a creature that it's a rodent. And this species, certain time of the year, they all run to the sea and jump into the sea and commit suicide.
Lemmings.
What are they?
Lemmings.
Lemmings. They all commit mass suicide. That's the Jews. They're lemmings. They like to go and they like to jump into the sea and commit suicide. Nuts, completely insane people. And they win, outnumbered 100-1? And they turn the garden into a desert? And they come back to their homeland?
No, they turn the desert into a garden.
And they turn the desert into a garden. They'd like to turn it back into a desert because they're nuts. But Hashem pushes them to turn it into a garden. Look, Hashem, this is Hashem. This is the hand of Hashem. Because Donald Trump, one day he's against Israel. He pressures Israel to accept a horrible agreement with the Hamas terrorists. And one day he's for Israel. Donald Trump, every day it's something else. It's whatever, one day on Truth Social, he'll come out with something that's very good for Israel. One day he'll come out with something that's terrible. That's Donald Trump. Hashem is controlling what happens here. Hashem is giving the Jews opportunity after opportunity to try to save them. Hashem loves the Jewish people, even though they're nuts. Hashem still loves them. You don't have to be nuts, those of you who are watching. You can be sane. Support J.T.F. That's sane. That's sane. Support the Hilltop Youth. That's sane. Who do you think is right? Trump and Moshe Feiglin and the Hilltop Youth and J.T.F. and Rabbi Kahana? Or Netanyahu and all the Israeli political leaders who say, it's not realistic? That's what, when they asked Netanyahu about having Jewish settlements in Gaza again, like they had in Gush Katif, which the Israelis, for no reason, came in and destroyed. Arik Sharon, Yemach Shmo v'Zichro, came in and destroyed 40 beautiful Jewish communities, 36 in Gaza and 4 in northern Samaria during the expulsion from Gush Katif. And so Jews who are sane, the Jews who are sane in Israel, there are some Jews who are saying we have to reestablish our communities in Gaza. We should return to Gaza. Netanyahu said, "Ze lo reali." It's not realistic. Not realistic. Very impractical. You have to be practical. They all have the Mike Bloomberg voice, by the way. They're the ones who say that. The Schmuck Schumer, Mike Bloomberg voice. It's not realistic, and after all, and Edwina Koch used to speak like that too. It's not realistic, after all. You have to see on the one hand, but then again on the other hand. What a mentality. And so Netanyahu said, it's not realistic. It's not realistic. It was realistic when Israel did it in 1970, 1971, when Israel was much weaker, much smaller, and much weaker. Israel had only 2.5 million Jews then. Israel now has 7 million Jews. Israel is much stronger and in a much better position now. Then, when Israel was much weaker, it was realistic. But now, when Israel's much stronger, it's not realistic. This is a president. This is a prime minister, Netanyahu, who either needs a psychiatrist or who is just a traitor, or both. And all the Jews said, he's very right-wing, that Netanyahu. I don't know. He's a little too strong. Oh, he's very assertive. I don't know. Oh, he makes speeches against the Iranian. The Iranians are close to building nuclear bombs. Israel could have destroyed that program a long time ago. Netanyahu's response, make speeches against it. And threaten over and over again, but never carry out the threats. All bluff. Everything is a bluff from Netanyahu. And Itamar Ben-Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich, also a bluff. Opportunists, phonies, one big bluff. And those of you who watch us, though, who watch our videos, you're fortunate enough to be part of a very select group of people who are seeing the truth. From the one Jewish organization that supports the Jewish heroes in Judea and Samaria. Outside of Israel, we're the only organization that supports the Jewish heroes in Judea and Samaria. The only organization that supports the Hilltop Youth. The only group. No one else does. And you're part of that very fortunate group, so God is giving you an opportunity. You don't want to take that opportunity? It means you're also insane. And you know, something else. There are people who see our videos every week. I'm just going to ask a question of people. You watch our videos. Why doesn't everybody at least like the video? You know, you can click on like and you can click on various other things to promote the videos on the YouTube and the other search engines, on the search engines of all the sites that we put the videos up on. Why don't you at least click on like? That takes 1 second. That certainly is not going to hurt you or cost you anything. At least click on like. At least, or comment on the videos. Give us a positive comment. And that also boosts us. How long does it take? We give you an opportunity to donate conveniently online. When you go to, I might as well put it up now. When you go to our Hebrew main page, hayamin.org, we give you an opportunity. You just click on the donate button, and in 2 or 3 minutes you can donate. And if you don't want to have to go back all the time to do this with one-time donations, we give you an opportunity to do two things. We give you two options here. One is to make a one-time donation, which is very good and very, very praiseworthy and something that I believe God will reward you for. I do believe that. I don't know if it'll be in this world or the next world, but I know that will bring a reward, because that is a very, very good thing to do to support the heroic Hilltop Youth. There's no other cause more worthy of your support. No other cause. Or, if you want, you could, even better, you can make recurring monthly donations. We give you the option. All you have to do is click in the 2 minutes, you can do it. Recurring donations. To donate a certain amount of money. It's not worth donating a certain amount of money every month for the Hilltop Youth. They're putting their lives on the line to save the Jewish people with their families and their babies. And it's the winter time now, and they're freezing over there. And there's cold rain, and they're freezing on the hilltops. It doesn't snow in Israel. Very rarely snows, but there's cold rain, and it's cold and difficult. And if not for J.T.F. support, they wouldn't even have even the most elementary system to heat. They do keep their babies warm, but they wouldn't have the ability to do any of that without J.T.F. support. We give you a chance to every month say, I support the Hilltop Youth. I support the redemption of the land of Israel. I support the people in Judea and Samaria that are causing the Arab Nazis to leave. I support the cause of righteousness and justice for a change. We give you this chance every week. Why don't you take it? And of course, you should leave JTF in your will. Very easy to do. I mean, when you're going to leave the world anyway. Now, you may have children or grandchildren or other things that you want to leave. Fine. But you can leave, you can set aside a nice sum of money for the Hilltop Youth. All you have to do is, in your will, leave Jewish Task Force with the JTF address, JTF PO Box 650327, Fresh Meadows, New York 11365. Just leave it in your will every month. We give you this opportunity. You don't think that this is, I mean, of course, first of all, you're doing good for people who deserve your help. And you're doing good for yourself as well. Now, of course, we've already told you just now how to donate to JTF online. If you want to do it through the regular mail, checks and money orders made out to JTF and sent to our box, JTF PO Box 650327, Fresh Meadows, New York 11365. Someday, all of us are going to see the truth. This is Alma de Shikra in Aramaic, it's what the rabbis call it, which is the world of lies. But we're going to live in a world of truth someday. Someday that's going to happen. And you know, in your heart, you know we're right. You know JTF is telling the truth. You know what we're saying is just and truthful and righteous. You know that. So what does that mean about you if you're not supporting or doing something to support a cause that's just and truthful and righteous? What does it say about you? Think about that. Make a decision now to do something to help us in this vital cause. David?
As most of you know, Joe Biden on his way out pardoned thousands of people, and he just couldn't stop pardoning. He pardoned more than probably the last 10 presidents combined. One of those pardons was for General Milley. Now, a general is supposed to be loyal, very patriotic, brilliant in tactics, but above all, a great American who knows how to wheel and deal in the military. Why would a man like that need a pardon unless he did some treacherous and traitorous acts? Some we may know about, and others maybe he did behind the scenes, but he got a pardon. And I've never seen a general in this country pardoned before. So he was not what he pretended to be. If you remember when Trump was in office the first time, if Trump made one false move, he was going to call China and warn them that Trump is doing this and Trump is doing that. He's supposed to be loyal to his president. And that was one of the mistakes Trump made. He didn't get rid of him. He should have fired him on the spot.
I'm glad you're bringing that up, David, because Milley, like all of these other generals on the Joint Chiefs of Staff, I hope, by the way, all of them are fired by Trump. All of them. And they really should be put on trial for treason. All of them are against America's very existence. They believe in a new world order. They believe we should be part of an international world community. That's what they believe in. That's what they're committed to. These are people who went to universities, left-wing universities, and they are themselves leftists, and they are determined to destroy American sovereignty. Everything they do is to destroy American sovereignty. Any general who teaches his troops to be transgenders and who teaches his troops to have more respect for the lives of the enemies of the United States than of American citizens, any general that imposes affirmative action, racist policies against people solely because of their race, white and Asian and Jews are discriminated against with affirmative action policies. They promote racism, they promote transgenderism, they promote treasonous policies, they brainwash soldiers with all types of left-wing propaganda. This is who's running the military? I hope he's, not only his security clearance was taken away by Trump, which is good, he should be prosecuted. He should be prosecuted. But anyway, that's my opinion.
Well, I believe he should be prosecuted too. The only thing is Biden gave him a pardon. Now, people who are innocent and who are patriotic Americans don't need a pardon. So the question is, why did Biden give him a pardon?
Now, some of the people that Trump pardoned, though, deserve to be pardoned. Once in a while, you have injustices in the Department
Oh,
of.
yeah.
Oh, every single person Biden pardoned is a criminal and deserves to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Led by Biden himself deserves to be prosecuted, although he himself wouldn't even understand what's going on. He wouldn't understand the criminal proceedings because he's completely gone. Mentally, he's completely gone.
Well, we
But
had the Biden crime family in office for 4 years, and as VP 4 years earlier than that.
right, and he and but but some of the people that Trump pardoned deserve to be pardoned, in my opinion. Some of the people that he pardoned.
Well, I wanted to point out right now we have 54 four-star generals. That may include admirals too, with an army that we can't even fill the quotas. So our army is under 500,000. We fought World War II with 15 million men in arms with 5 four-star generals. What do we need 54 right now for? And then I saw something, and this is actually, I see this on YouTube, and I'm just amazed at what I'm seeing. In China, a lot of young couples, instead of having children, are raising baby monkeys to be their child. They put them in diapers, they dress them in baby clothes. When the monkeys get older, they dress them in toddler clothes. The monkeys are not very big. When they're full grown, they're less than 2 feet tall. But the one thing I'm amazed, and they teach them to eat with a fork, and they teach them to be,
Not with chopsticks.
no, fork.
Oh, do
And
they eat wonton soup? I don't know. I'm just wondering.
no, it's all kinds of fruits.
No.
But they also teach them to be patient. You know how an animal is. It's I want it and I want it now. They teach them patience while they're cutting up the fruit. They know not to stick their hand in the plate until their parent gives them the fork. But the one thing that amazed me most is being these monkeys are brought up by people. They all walk upright. They don't walk on fours ever. Like a real monkey. A monkey is designed to walk on fours and maybe upright to reach for something. But these monkeys, all of them, they walk upright. And that frees their hands to do whatever. Where do you evolve from there if your hands are free?
I see many monkeys in the United States. I'm not going to comment further on that, but I see lots of monkeys in the United States being raised in the United States. So I guess I guess it's a similar situation. Although I have a feeling the monkeys in China are better than the monkeys we have in the United States. Just a guess, just an educated.
I don't think they speak English. They speak Chinese.
Okay, that's fine.
Also, about inflation. I noticed it's a steak. I think it's a steak. I've never eaten this. I don't even know if it comes kosher. It might, but I've never eaten one. It's called a tri-tip steak. Until I moved out here, I never even heard of it. And it was on sale for $6.99. And I get weekly flyers like probably you still do in New York from Wallbounds, Pathmark, Key Food.
Not anymore.
Oh, well, we get weekly flyers.
We used to. I used to, but not anymore. They don't do the. I don't know. The city's very different. You would see a completely different city if you were here. It's really going downhill. But anyway, I'm sorry.
Well, these tri-tip steaks are on sale now for $6.99. When we first moved here, or actually from the time we moved here to the time Trump left office, I saw tri-tip steaks for $3.99 when it was on sale. So here's a steak that is pretty popular. I know a lot of people smoke them and barbecue them, and it's doubled in price, almost.
Watermelon, when I was a kid, was 10 cents a pound. when I was a kid.
At farmer's market, when I was a kid, it was 3 cents a pound.
Okay, that I didn't see, but I saw 10 cent. I used to see watermelon for 10 cents a pound. Okay, that was the average price. That's not on sale. That the average price was 10 cents a pound. This week in New York, great news. Watermelon for sale. A big sale for watermelon, only $1.59 a pound. That's almost 16 times as expensive. Almost 16 times as expensive as when I was a kid. I'm 68 years old, so this is, let's say, even 50 years ago when I was a teenager. Let's say 50 years ago. Went from 10 cents a pound to $1.69 to $1.59 a pound on sale, and that's a big sale because it's usually $2 a pound.
I remember when a pound of butter was 19 cents.
I hope butter should be $1 million for a pound of butter. I hope nobody eats it. It's garbage. It's very unhealthy, and so is margarine.
Margarine is worse. It's one molecule away from being plastic.
It's very, very unhealthy. It's pure fat that blocks your arteries. It's the worst thing you can eat is that garbage. Terrible, terrible. One day we should do a show on food. We should do. Yeah, I think we should do a show on food one day. I know people will go, what are you? But one day we should.
Well, in New York, where Chaim lives, they have a state budget of $252 billion. When I was a kid, well, I remember in 5th grade, our teacher telling us that the budget for the state was $13 billion. Now it's $252 billion with 20 million New Yorkers. In Texas, they also have 20 million people.
No, they have more. No.
I got this right off of a...
What you got is wrong then. New York does not. First of all, New York does not have 20 million people. New York has a lot less than that. And Texas is a lot bigger than New York in population.
I thought so.
Considerably
bigger. I got
bigger.
this off of a website.
Well, the website, you can't trust websites. You got to do your own research. Okay, but anyway, if you're going to say that the budget in Texas per person is much, much smaller than New York, that is true. That is true.
Okay, so it's over 20 million. I thought so because they have more electoral votes than New York. And Texas budget is 160 billion compared to 252 for New York.
And they don't have a state income tax.
No, they have oil money.
But they don't have oil money is the New York's Wall Street money is much bigger than Texas oil money, much bigger. If not for Wall Street, New York would have gone bankrupt a long time ago. New York State and New York City. Wall Street is what keeps New York State and New York City afloat. But it's complete. The whole thing is completely insane. It's just completely insane.
Florida with an even bigger population. This website had 23 million. I thought it's higher than that.
Florida is not bigger than Texas in population. The biggest is California, the biggest state in population. Second biggest is Texas. Third biggest is Florida.
Well, this website had 23 million, but their budget is only 116 billion.
That's Ron DeSantis. Oh, how I wish he had been elected president, Ron DeSantis, or Ted Cruz. Like, you remember the sanctions that remember last week we did a show that Trump eliminated the sanctions? You know who was pushing hardest for Trump to eliminate those sanctions, day and night pushing? Ted Cruz.
Yeah, he's a really good guy, and he's a brilliant speaker. He doesn't even have to come up for air. Ashadine and myself went out to eat at a diner here in town, and just our luck, at the next table, a family comes in with maybe a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old and a baby in a carriage that they put on top of the table. And of course, the 5-year-old and the 3-year-old, they're jumping all over the seats, screaming at the top of their lungs with that high-pitched, very young child voice. And the parents are just having a good time with them, even though they're annoying everybody else in the diner. And this isn't the only time I've seen that. When you go out to eat, you always hope you don't end up at a table where they have very young children. I was at the opposite end of the diner the last time we were there. We saw a family with 3 young kids jumping up and down and running and in the aisles, and the parents don't stop them. When I was a kid, I sat there quietly. It's true, I was a little shy and I was a little introverted, but Ashadina too and her younger sister, they were told, if you talk loud, if you start moving around, this will be the last time you come out to dinner with us. We were taught discipline when we were young, and that discipline is sorely lacking today. Parents think what their children are doing is cute. I saw a video of a checkout line in a supermarket, and the mother was standing there with her young daughter, probably about 6, and she took the shopping cart and just kept pushing it into the woman in front of her. And the mother was laughing. She thought it was hysterical that her child was doing that. Finally, the woman in front of her, I don't know if she had cream or whipped cream, she took it and squirted the mother in the face with it. So that was just retribution.
If she was in New York, she would have gotten arrested for a hate crime.
Yeah. And last week when we filmed the show, it was 15 degrees in New York. I'm sure Washington was probably about 18 degrees, 20 at the most. It's been so cold during this period of global warming that even the congressmen had their hands in their own pockets. And I want to tell a story happened in New York. We know Joe Biden weaponized all the agencies in the government. Well, Kathy Hochul of New York is a holdover of that. There was this squirrel.
She's the governor, by the way. You should tell.
Yeah, she's the governor of New York.
Okay.
And there was this squirrel baby found. Probably fell out of a tree or something. Maybe the parents abandoned it. And a man picked it up, raised it, and brought it up. It was a charcoal gray, almost blackish squirrel. They named it Peanut. And it was very tame. He even tried releasing it. It came right back. It didn't want to be released. It wanted to stay with his daddy. And the squirrel's about 8 years old, and he's playing around. And somebody complained that somebody on their block has a wild animal living in the house with them. So New York State sends 10 agents to this man's house. Plus, you know the story.
I know the story, yeah.
It took 10 agents. They would barely let that guy go to the bathroom. If he had to go to the bathroom, an agent had to go with him to check to make sure he's not going to hide the squirrel, because they were looking all over the house for it. Then they went even further. His wife had a foreign accent. She was from Germany. And they wanted to know her immigration status. If these are from animal control, what difference does her immigration status? Because she was from Germany, her immigration status was important. Meanwhile, they let 15 million Mexicans cross the border in the last 4 years.
Not only that, New York is a sanctuary state.
And New York City is a sanctuary city. Yeah. Well, they took the squirrel from the man, and that squirrel was an internet sensation. And checking it for rabies. Now, they could have quarantined it, but they didn't. They did the full test, but they had to kill the squirrel to check for rabies. The thing is, the squirrel lived with the man for 8 years. Wouldn't he know if that squirrel had rabies? When an animal has rabies, they don't look like they're doing their normal activity. They may just sit there and their head will sway left, right, left, right. They look like a crazy person. And that's a sure sign they have rabies. This man lived with the squirrel. And they could have quarantined it and kept an eye on it, but they decided to kill it. And they killed an internet sensation. I feel so bad for that animal. It's too bad they don't do that to murderers.
By the way, Trump also complained. He wanted to intervene on behalf of the squirrel. I don't know if you know that.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, he's a New Yorker, so...
He wanted to help. He's a former New Yorker. He was smart enough to leave, but you got to be crazy to want to stay in this hellish state. but the People's Republic of New York. I'm here. I'm trapped here because of my activities here. It's necessary for me to stay here. Believe me, I hate every minute of it. Anyway.
Wait, I got two more quick things.
No. Of course. Please take as much time as you want. We have plenty of time.
What's his name? Amgen Chowdhury in England. He's under arrest. Or Clam Chowdhury in England. And he says, we're going to install loudspeakers on every corner in England. And at 4 o'clock, you're going to wake up to say you're going to begin your daily prayers.
4 o'clock in the morning. 4 o'clock in the morning. They want to do it. They do this in Israel now, by the way. In Israel, they do this now. And it's well, listen, there's freedom of religion.
How about freedom of waking everybody up at 4 o'clock?
Jews are not even allowed to pray in some parts of Israel. They come and arrest Jews for praying and attack Jews for praying. But these mosques at 4 o'clock in the morning can wake the whole neighborhood up. That's okay.
And Chowdhury says, we're going to come and bang on your door to see if you're in your house praying. And another imam says, we are experts in pretending. Our religion deliberately teaches us to lie for the sake of dawah, which is gathering up people and inviting them to become Muslims and killing them if they don't. And the benefit of the Ummah. The Ummah is the Muslim community. If necessary, we pretend to be friendly to kafirs, that's infidels, non-Muslims, but then become radical when our numbers grow. If you didn't know that, all you got to do is watch what goes on in a country. They lay low when there's very few of them. When they start gaining numbers, they start making trouble. And when they gain more numbers, every once in a while, they'll act on their religion and kill somebody and chop their head off, like they did with a British soldier quite a few years ago. I am.
So true. So true. In your heart, you know we're right. And in your guts, you know they're nuts. For J.T.F. until next week, this is Chaim Ben Pesach for David Ben Moshe. Shalom.